horsepower on a V6 motor with that twin turbo that it has. So between that one and the Toyota Supra, just because I love Toyota family, that's why we drive Lexuses around here. Those two would probably be my favorite cars.
Okay. Someone asked, I have a 1976 Camaro and want to turbo it. Can I?
You can turbo absolutely anything that you choose to. The only difference is whether or not there are the modifications and the replacement parts available without you having to have things fabricated on your own. When it comes to the turbocharger, all it is an air pump that you modify to your engine, and the only thing other than doing, and I'm gonna make this sound really easy, but it's not as easy to do as it sounds. But you put an air pump on your car, and then you deal with your fuel management. That's really as simple as it is, but it gets difficult when it comes to how you're gonna do each little step.
Okay. Someone wants to know if I help you with cars.
Absolutely. Anytime she's around me, she will help me with cars.
A little slowly with a lot of questions, but I help when I can. Okay, next question is, what is the real way to make and smoke a hookah?
Well, I'm not going to say that there's a right or wrong way, because I guess when it's all said and done, by the time you light it, if it smokes, then you did something right. But long story short, you take shisha, you put it in what we know as a head. Me personally, I like to dry mines out. Not all the way dry. I'm not trying to wring it out and wring it completely dry, but I do absorb some of the moisture for the sake of me not having a dirty hookah. I don't like dirty hookahs. I don't like when my hookah gets all gunked up, and that's what'll happen once that heat starts to hit that fluid. That fluid is going to start to leak down into the pipes of your hookah and everything like that, and I really don't like that. So I leave enough moisture in it for it to burn, but dry enough out for it not to leak. After I put it in the head, of course, you want to put foil over it or whatever you can cover it with. Make sure that it can breathe well. Put holes in the top of it. It's a good idea for me to have ice in the water, just because it gives a kind of a cooling sensation when you pull on it. I believe in making sure everything is clean. A lot of people like to leave their ashtrays or the tray on the hookah with a lot of ash and dust from the coals and everything like that. I believe in cleaning that every single time, and the reason why is as soon as you have to try to knock the ash off your coals, or if your coals fall into that, then it's going to pick up all of that dirty ash that's actually in there, and it causes it to burn different. Other than that, you put water in the hookah at the bottom. And when you put the water in there, the way you measure it is the stem that's going down into the water should just barely submerge up under that water. You don't have to drown the stem in the water, because you will leave more space for the smoke to actually build up right there on top of that water. And after that, you just smoke it. And I hope I didn't miss anything.
I don't think you did. I'm just trying to catch the questions before they disappear. Sorry. Okay, so the next question that we have,
Going straight through.
Going straight through.
Okay, cool.
The next question that we have is, you guys, our relationship goals, how do you make it work? Oh, first of all, thank you. Mm-hmm. Communication.
Absolutely communication. Absolutely no hitting below the belt.
No.
Even in a situation where you disagree with one another, you still value the position of that other person. A lot of people don't consider, when you get into an argument with somebody, what that person has done for you, what you've done for them, what y'all have been through. When it's all said and done, just keep it real with one another, and always look for a situation where you can de-escalate something that you don't agree about. Come to a common ground.
We never go to bed at each other angry. Ever. We talk when we're angry and frustrated. We use words. We might need to take a woosah moment, but we use words. I know when he's upset, like I stay up under him. I can tell when he's upset, and I just keep asking him. It might be annoying, but it's what I do. And he does this thing where he'll like tickle me or like do something to make me laugh to relieve the tension, and then we'll talk about it. He always starts with, say here. But it's communication, being honest, being 100% real, even when it's not easy to be. Okay, 13 is, do you think God approves of you being poly?
Do I think God approves of me being poly? To be honest with you, I actually do not have an answer for that question. That is something that I'm going to probably have to ask him.
That part. 14, do you think it's important to have your own land? Yeah.
It depends on you. It depends on what you're trying to do, what your preference is. I believe in anything that you have that possession wise that you're responsible for it. So for somebody that may not keep good income or may not pay bills well and they can't afford taxes or just they can afford it but they just don't pay because they don't believe in it, I don't think somebody like that should have land. Because when it's all said and done, you will have something that you could have stripped from you for not, following the law for the most part. But then there's this other person that might want to have chickens, goats, cows, this, that, and the other. It might be important for them. I guess it really just depends on the person.
Awesome sauce. I agree. 15, y'all are so talented. How many businesses do you have? First of all, thank you. We personally have 2 active businesses, but we do have several that we are working towards.
Mm-hmm. Basically, the business that I have is going to simply have multiple businesses for the sake of us trying to create jobs, in this economy and everything like that. So we'll basically be pretty much be like a jack of all trades, doing it all for the most part.
Took the words right out of my head. Number 16, I didn't know an engine can be cleaned. How do you do that?
You can actually take your car to a detail shop, and they actually have solutions and everything like that they will actually put on there. When you go and get a used car that might be 3 to 5 years old or whatever, something to that extent, and it's new to you, but it's used 9 times out of 10. If you pop that hood, that engine is clean up under there. It's not because it's brand new; it's because they just did an engine clean on it. So this is one of those situations where you, as the owner of the car, do the same thing that they did to get it prepped for you, but you just doing it on your own for the maintenance of the car.
Okay. 17, someone said, my heat is working, but my AC is not. It's not taking the fluid for it. What do I do?
When it comes to AC and heat is 2 different things. The way you generate heat is from the engine coolant. When you put the coolant in your car for to keep the engine cool, it runs that fluid through a heater core, and that's where your engine gets the heat. So you could have the whole AC system taken out and still have heat because they're not the same. On the AC side, you have Freon. Freon turns from a gas to a liquid, from a hot liquid to a cold gas as it circulates around your system. That is something that you would actually have to take to a professional to find out what component or what may be clogged up or you might have had a compressor fail or something to that extent. If you want to do a few little preliminary things on your own, there's a compressor that has a clutch on it. This is something that you can kind of Google, look on YouTube. You turn on your AC on max AC. First thing is find out if that compressor is even turn it on. If that compressor is not turning on when your AC is on, then you already have an issue right there, which can be as simple as maybe a fuse or something to that extent. And if it's a fuse, that'd be great because you just change that little fuse and maybe the AC compressor come on and everything will go back to normal.
Okay, question 18 is how do you know your transmission is messed up or if it's your engine?
When your transmission starts to go, first of all, when you turn on your engine, your transmission has nothing to do with anything. Your transmission is just sitting there. Your transmission kicks in when you actually put it in reverse or when you put it in drive. So let's say you put the transmission in drive and then you get ready to take off. If your RPMs jump up and your car is not really moving, or your car is slow to move, or your RPMs kind of jump up and then you feel a jerk, those are signs of transmission problems because your RPM jumping up is saying that your engine is actually running. Your engine is speeding up and the transmission is not putting a load on that engine, which is why the engine continues to rev higher and higher and higher. So those are, and then not only that, but when you are going down the road, if you feel certain little thumps and you see your RPMs jumping up and moving erratically in ways that they don't normally move, then that's another sign of a problem with your transmission.
That was a very good answer because I didn't know that. I don't know none of these mechanic answers. I can tell y'all that right now. You're going to be probably disappointed if you think I'm going to answer. 19. Do you drive professionally, Casey?
Yes, I do drive professionally. As a matter of fact, when I get done with this, I'm going to go drive professionally so I can make some money.
Someone said, what's a V6 motor?
Long story short, if you can take an engine out of a car, the engine is actually in the shape of a V. You have your block, and then you have a head, a cylinder head on both sides of the motor. Long story short, the way the motor is made is kind of like that of pedaling a bicycle. You have a crank on the inside, and it pedals. As the pistons go up and down, it causes the crank to basically turn in a pedaling motion for the most part. So then you have pistons that's actually going also on the inside of the motor in the shape of a V. You know what I'm saying? They're going from up and down on a right and a left side. So when you have a V6 motor, that just means you have a motor in the shape of a V, and you have 6 cylinders in that motor.
Welcome, Toxic Babyface.
Hello, thank y'all again for joining us. If y'all have any questions as well, y'all just put them in the comments and we'll make sure that we get to you.
Okay, number 21 is what is Turbo? The only one I know is the kid movie Turbo, and I doubt it's the same.
Okay, so
it's not a snail.
That is actually funny though, to the simple fact that a turbo is somewhat actually
looks like a snail
in the shape of a snail. But again, long story short, a turbo is a pump. And when you hear the difference between NA, which is naturally aspirated, versus forced air induction have to do with superchargers and turbochargers. They force air into your combustion chamber, allowing you to get basically more power by increasing your fuel and everything, and of course tuning. So long story short, a turbo, as the exhaust gas leaves to go out your tailpipe, that exhaust gas turns a fin. On the other side of that turbo is another fin that's turning. As the exhaust gas gets faster and faster, it causes that turbo to basically boost, pushing, again, compressed air and pressure into your combustion chamber for you to thus far get more power.
Okay, 22. Casey, you seem super clean. Dorales is